Welcome, everyone. We are delighted to have a few guests with us today that have created a team. And so I'm always personally curious of how these teams work in terms of responsibilities and maybe some of the things that they may have learned from each other over the last several years. But we're delighted to have Shannon and Jodi today from the Dallas market. And so please tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you guys have been in business for. Did you guys start off as working together as a team, or how did that evolve?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Jodi and I actually met on a large Keller Williams team originally, and we joined. We had great synergy and decided to join just the two of us because we, being on a mega team, there were definitely pros to that, but we also felt like we could offer really great, customer service, just the two of us really offering that white glove service from start to finish. So we joined together in 2018, and it's been a
great
ride.
Ride.
4 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So we structured our team a little bit different, I think, than your typical real estate team. Both of us are principals. We absolutely take on the business together 100%. So what client is hers is also my client, and both of us are able to pick up where the other one left off. We don't have a large team of actual agents underneath us supporting us. We actually, both of us really like doing the, quote unquote, production work of real estate. So while that plays to our strengths, we have added a team where we have help with marketing or, a transaction coordinator, some of those pieces that, it's definitely not our expertise.
Yeah.
Got it. Are there any, so there's, as a part of a team and as part of the day-to-day of real estate, there's always a few parts, right? Whether it could be marketing, operations, admin. Before you guys had those hires, did you guys just do it separately yourselves? Did one say, okay, I'm going to be more on the marketing as a group? Like, how did you guys figure that out? And did that change over the last four years before you outsourced it out?
Yeah. I mean, I think we definitely complement each other with different strengths and weaknesses. So Jodi took on, I would say, more of the social media, sort of running that. I mean, I'm still on it, but she often has the vision for that. And I've taken more on maybe the finance, that kind of stuff, I would say, for the last several years. I would say that's how it's divided up. And on the day-to-day business side, we will often, like every listing appointment, the two of us go to the appointment together, because we found that from a conversion standpoint, it's much better to have two of us there. One of us can take notes, one of us can take photos. When we're going through comps, it's great to have two people there to share market ideas. And I feel like the customer, the client really feels like they're going to be, get two for the price of one, essentially. So I think that's been really great on the seller side. On the buy side, we usually try to both make it to the original buyer appointment, the buyer consultation. But then often, usually one of us will run point, with the client. And that happens on both the buy and the sell side. It just tends to be that one of us might, vibe better with the client and sort of runs point, and the other one is more in a supporting role with that.
Got it. No, that's very good. And it's actually an interesting thing you bring up, especially when it comes to seller appointments. Usually, if you're an individual agent and you're doing your presentation, you're really just focused on delivery of your message. But if you had a partner with you that's actually watching how they're reacting to it, one may be able to take notes of that to respond better than if you're just speaking to them. So that's an interesting thing.
Absolutely. And we've definitely found, while we've been in business together, when we have these appointments, exactly what you just touched on. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a relationship. So listening, communicating, and one of us usually turns into, bad cop, good cop, for lack of a better terminology, and able to kind of figure out where we need to meet the client, exactly where they're at, and get, the message and everything delivered effectively.
Absolutely. Well, tell me a little bit about the business and what's been happening locally in your market. So we hear a lot of these national headline articles, and every market gets affected differently in different times. Like here in the Bay Area, we've been impacted probably since around April and May was the highest point. And we've had a pretty stark decrease. Zillow recently had a report that the Bay Area had the biggest declines of all metros, and at least for now. And so what's been going on locally in your market from a price perspective? And then we'll segue to of how are you guys adapting and changing to this new environment?
So, I mean, similar to other markets, obviously at the beginning of the year, we saw just an extreme trajectory in regards to prices with the limited inventory and still the low interest rates. We probably felt the same sort of shutter shift that first week of May. However, I think the one caveat and one difference in DFW that has been pretty consistent throughout history is that it's a pretty insulated market. We're not completely dependent upon one industry. We do have tech, we have oil and gas, we have medical. There are a lot of companies still moving into the area for all of the tax benefits. You still have a lot of people moving into the area because when you compare it to other major metropolitan areas, I mean, the cost of living here is, phenomenally cheap. So yes, we've definitely seen a slowdown in regards to that trajectory of price appreciation. However, all forecasts for us show that, it's probably going to go back and should go back to more of a balanced market to that 3 to 5%, which, where we were at did feel like a sudden stop. But at the end of the day, it's really healthy for us to have and to create a balanced market to be able to keep those things that are driving people to actually move and relocate here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so have you seen transaction volumes at least decrease because of buyers are a little bit more on the fence, sellers are also like, look, I have my incredible rate from before, I may not even want to sell. Like, what have you been seeing from a volume perspective, and how are you adjusting? I know we have some notes here of like, this was actually a good time to now look at your own business and say, look, we have a little bit more time that we can at least breathe. Let's look at our business again. Does this make sense for what we're doing? So has transaction volume dropped? Do you have a sense of how much? And then from a business perspective, what are you guys doing differently?
So yeah, we were just actually looking at some numbers. So the volume of homes sold is down 13.6% from this time last year. So we definitely have seen, a dip in the amount of transactions. And I would say, again, that's, really based on these higher interest rates. So a lot of buyers are sitting on the sidelines and, with the trajectory or the thought that maybe the market will fall, more. So that has definitely slowed down for us as well, but it is definitely giving us more time to look at our business because frankly, from January through May of the first half of this year, it was just nonstop. We were
Quite honestly, since probably April of 2020 to now. It's been
absolutely
crazy.
So I think I think both buyers and sellers are needing to readjust to more normalized expectations. And I think a lot of our business, frankly, is educating, both buyers and sellers about what's happening. So sellers who are wanting to sell now are looking at what their neighbor sold, 3, 4, 5 months ago, and are hoping and expecting to get something around that, that same sales price. And that's just not realistic. So having those conversations with sellers, and then the same thing with buyers, I think, buyers are thinking the world is ending because, it seems so different and interest rates are so high and this and that. And so just sort of walking through that, I think that's been a big part of our business. And then I think, right now we're going back to the basics. Like what did we do before things were crazy? The last 2 years, we've literally just had enough bandwidth to service the current clients. And now we're needing to look at, okay, well, what strategies are we in, how do we build, continue to build our business and what do we want to focus on?
So can you share a little bit about that? And a lot of this is happening. I just went to a Tom Ferry summit just last week, and a lot of it's just business planning already for 2023, which it starts effectively now, right? So it was a really good opportunity, good time to realign and be like, where does my business previously come from? Does it make sense to keep doubling down on those efforts? What kind of changes have you been thinking of, or have you already started to make, whether it's spending more time and money in X source or decreasing it from something else?
So I would say our two probably biggest legs of our business historically have been referrals of past clients and other agents. And then the third would probably be social media. And so, just looking back and really realigning our strategy for past clients to make sure that we are keeping in touch with them, that we are providing value to them moving forward so that we can continue to deepen those relationships. Because, what we have found is that the clients that are referred to us and have a vested interest and trust and know us are the ones who come back time and time again and are also referring their friends. And that's who we want, to be in business with. Because obviously, there are a lot of agents doing business a million different ways, and that's great. But we've definitely found, who our clientele are and how we can best help them. And so just keep drumming down and doing that and doing a rinse and repeat.
Yeah. And I'd also add, we're looking at, we just, right before this call, we were looking at YouTube and just getting back into doing videos. So we had done, before things got crazy, we had been fairly consistent about doing little market updates and doing videos and, putting them on our Instagram. And now we're looking at, well, hey, can we really, deepen that a little bit more, keep going with Instagram, maybe add some more stuff on YouTube and, really work on our social media as well, since we have a little bit more time to do that.
Nice. What have you found as a top, let's say maybe 2 strategies of staying relevant to your past clients? Are you just making calls? Are you dropping by? Are you doing events? Like, what have you found the 2 maybe most effective ways to stay top of mind for past clients and people that were agent referrals and things like that?
There's always the, blanket one size fits all of, sending a newsletter that kind of touches on everyone. But I think the one thing that we do and is just part of who we are is that we really do get to know our clients. So, for instance, a client that we know, something that's near and dear, a cause that's near and dear to their heart, and that we see something in the news, sending that article and saying, hey, I read this and I really thought you might find it interesting, or, different things like that, that can only come from a genuine relationship with somebody. But I think taking the time again and making sure that we're taking something that is specific to that client and reaching out, whether it's a news article, commenting on something, a kid's graduation on Instagram or whatnot, but just making that one-to-one connection that has nothing to do with real estate and just gets back to the basics of you're a human, I am, and we're in a relationship and I'm thinking of you right now.
Yeah. I would say so many of our clients too are or have become friends or were friends. And so, even things, we did a spa day last year with, several past clients, and that was super fun. I'm having friends over that are past clients of mine this weekend. So it's just part of, and I would say social media does make it easier because there are several people. Really, you only have bandwidth to hang out with and call so many people, but I do think we make it a regular practice, like Jodi said, to, look at our other friends' feeds and past clients' feeds and comment and just, let them know that, hey, we still care about them. We're thinking about them. And yeah.
That's great. When it comes to the event like the spa day, have you found a specific amount of capacity? Because what I found personally when I run events, I actually don't like those mega events, those annual events, because you don't really even get to have deeper catch-ups with anybody. So from your experience, have you found maybe it's a group of 8, maybe it's a group of 16? Like, have you played around with those numbers where it's manageable for you to actually have some catch-up conversations on these smaller events?
I would completely agree with what you say. That, the mega events, while they can be great for what we're looking to get out of it for our client, it's really an act of service. So yeah, they specifically the event Shannon, I called her my daughter Ryan. Shannon was talking about there, it's a group of friends and they were all friends. There was probably 8 of us, and that was like a perfect number to really connect and take a moment. So we have not done anything on a massive scale. We actually had one planned right before COVID hit, but it was more targeted to all of our clients, who had small children and bringing in some of those activities. So yeah, it's more on a level that is more intimate. So
Right. Got it. And we'll wrap up with this. For any other agents that might be listening to this, or they could be newer agents or agents that are encountering this downturn for the first time, any wisdoms or words of advice for tips for them to be able to ride this out, however long this may take?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I would say one thing that I have learned being in this business is that when there is downtime, it's a great time to, yes, not only focus on your business, but also focus on your own personal care and health as well, because I do think real estate is like cyclical, and you have markets that are up and markets that are down, and just trusting that the market will pick back up again, and just having an understanding that it's not being balanced, isn't always being balanced, every second of every day, but that there are times. So like, I'm definitely using this time to go back to the gym, focus on some other things that maybe for the past 2 years, I just couldn't focus on as much. So I would say that's, I think, just as important, because being a realtor, I feel like really is a lifestyle in a way, because having, your clients can call you, you work weekends, you work nights, it's just this constant being on call. So I think that's part of it too, in addition to just going back to the basics of, what is important, how can we stay in touch with past clients, with friends, continue to build our sphere, all of that, I would say is really important.
And I think also, just to touch on that, is to make sure that you're evaluating your strategy and really doubling down on which avenue you want to take. There's so many, different speakers and different ways that you can go about doing real estate. And I think, especially at the beginning, the one distraction can be, okay, I'm going to do everything, and you spread yourself so thin that you really do nothing well. So focusing on 1 or 2 avenues, and really spending this time to hone that skill, and to hopefully create a rinse and repeat, atmosphere where it keeps building itself.
Wonderful. Well, Shannon and Jodi, thank you so much for your time. What are the best ways for them to get a hold of you? Is it a group, either text number for them to get a hold of you both, or there's separate lines? How does it work?
The easiest way to get a hold of us, honestly, would be through Instagram, through DMs on Instagram, which we're, at Dallas North Group. You can definitely find us on our website, dallasnorthgroup.com, or our numbers, and we can give you, do you want our number now, or?
You can just leave the number now. Yeah, you can leave it now. We'll have it in like the show notes too, but yeah.
Well, Shannon's from Northern California, so.
My phone number is 415. So I've still got that 415 number, 415-497-3710.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. I appreciate it. I'm sure the audience will learn a lot of these different things, especially as we go through these changes, which does, as you brought up, presents different opportunities to just divert some of that time into other things, whether it's personal, whether it's just reshifting. Did it make sense to be spending the time and money previously in those capacities into this new field as we continue through the year and into 2023? Thank you again, and we'll wrap it at that.
Perfect. Thank you for having us on.
Thank you.